Hey, tune in this week. We got the owner of Slice of New York. It's a great talk. You're going to learn about food and business.
You're listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. With your hosts, Anthony R. Destiny, Jerfairjian, and Jerry Kenna. Interviewing entrepreneurs, business operators, and investors. This episode of Between Two Bridges is sponsored by Paymark Payroll.
This one's brought to you by Doro Cleaners.
Alrighty, we're here with episode 55.
Man, welcome.
55 straight hours.
There we go.
In this room with you guys.
And
the man on the couch. You introduce yourself, please.
I am Sean. I'm from a slice of New York.
Can you pronounce your last name for me?
Yes, it's Jerfairjian.
That's what we thought.
That's what I was going to go with.
It's phonetic.
Yeah. That's Irish, right?
Yeah, exactly. I am half Irish, though. True story. I do have the proper Irish spelling of my name. Yeah. It's Sean.
So are you a Giants fan? Let's get this out of the way.
No. Okay. Unfortunately, I am a Jets fan. And I seem to have chosen all of the wrong New York sports teams growing up as a kid. So it was Mets, Jets.
Jeez, man.
Nets.
Sorry.
and Devils. Yeah, so somehow I ended up a Devils fan. So.
Were you a fan of the Aaron Rodgers pick whenever they brought him in?
No, because it's the same old Jets doing the same old get the 40-plus quarterback. I mean, didn't we learn our lesson with Brett Favre?
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah.
And
they fired their GM.
I mean, they need to fire everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, Johnson & Johnson needs to sell that team. But it's very similar to your experience
with the Pittsburgh
Pirates.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's bad ownership. We always get the washed up big name later.
Yeah.
And it turns into a whole lot of nothing. And I do always say that from a baseball perspective, it is much easier to be a Pirate fan than it is to be a Mets fan.
Yeah, because we don't spend anything.
Yeah,
so what
you
do you
guys
expect?
try.
Yeah, you know what you're getting. We spent hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, this year we did okay.
It did all right. Yeah.
It's like when we were in high school, you bought a used car for $3,000 and then drove it as fast and as hard as you could, and then it broke down. You're like, this dude sold me a piece of shit.
Yeah.
That's what the Pirates are.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been here 24 years, and I'm dying to see the Pirates do something big.
Yeah. As soon as they get rid of Nutting.
Yeah, I like that Skeens kid, though.
Yeah.
I think everybody likes the Skeens kid, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, how about that deal they have for his rookie card right now?
Yeah, I saw that 30 years of behind home plate.
Yeah, I wouldn't even take it. I'd just take the cash. I'd sell it on the price. Like 30 years of suffering has been enough in my life.
Right, yeah.
I don't need to win 30 more. But you could sell those tickets, I'm sure. I mean,
100%.
$250,000 value on this card. Crazy.
What is it? Just one out there, or is
his
it
rookie card? And I think they did like something with a piece of his jerseys in it. So
Only one of them.
yeah, and I think you get to meet
Like
Livy
a Willy
Dunn.
Wonka
So that's a
ticket.
bonus.
Yeah, just got to find them and start ripping packs. That should be a podcast episode.
Yeah.
Ripping
We went to school with a guy that was at one point, I guess, a professional poker player, and now they do box openings live on YouTube.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
So looking for the big hit.
They're out there.
Yeah.
How'd you end up in Pittsburgh?
That young lady right there.
Okay.
So I came out here. I was supposed to be here for 2 weeks. My mother was getting remarried to a guy from Monroeville.
Oh.
And I came out here to help her move. And 2 weeks turned into, why don't you do 1 semester of college here? And I was like, all right. So I enrolled in CCAC in Monroeville. And literally the first day of school, I met her and knocked her up. and 2 kids later, and 24 years of marriage, and here we are.
So you were a Saint Bernard.
What's that? Yeah.
Little known fact, CCAC Boys' old mascot was the Saint
what it
Bernard.
is?
Interesting.
Yep.
I was there.
They also filmed the A League of Their Own on Amazon channel. Was filmed at the baseball field
I did
at
not know that.
CCAC, and the set is they left everything up for the baseball team, so now it looks like a 1920s baseball
That's
stadium over there. It's actually really cool.
I did some landscaping when I was in college. Like everybody else, I cut some grass, and then I golfed for the CCAC's golf team, and they got an astronomical price to put a grass mound in, like an infield.
Oh yeah.
So the AD and I came up with a plan. We just did it ourselves. So they probably took my infield out. Bullshit.
Yeah, it looks cool over there, though.
Yeah,
you got to go do a
let's go
little
check it out.
drive-by.
Yeah. So you're originally from the Bronx.
Originally from the Bronx, and then spent like my teenage years in central Jersey.
Okay.
Maybe about an hour, 45 minutes from Manhattan, hour from the Bronx. So
Does it smell over there, or is that a rumor?
Jersey smells.
Okay.
The
Just like
New
Chesapeake.
York don't smell. Jersey smells. Well, North Jersey smells because it's so industrial over there. It's like all the
There was
oil's
this-
coming in, the refineries. It's
My favorite Rodney Dangerfield line is he says, "Hey, girl told me to kiss her where it stinks, so I took her to Hoboken, New Jersey."
I mean, if you ever drive that stretch of turnpike from that area, like going into Manhattan, I mean, it's just
It's all industrial.
everything's industrial. Everything's
Sopranos.
all of the smut is just everywhere. Like they call Jersey the Garden State, but it's
There's no garden.
it's
Not up
there,
there,
but you
it's
gotta
Not up there, it's not.
you gotta get out of the
in the
city
weeds.
limits
Yeah.
all the way. It's
It's a culture shock for Pittsburgh. Like, what really got you? It was like, they really do this here.
I mean, well, that's loaded. Yes, culture shock. I mean, it's still. I mean, there's things that are culture shock. But after 24 years, I've now spent more time here than anywhere. So I
you're
guess,
adopted.
and I'm married to a Yinzer, right? So it's,
Yeah.
I guess I'm a quasi.
You're an honorary Yinzer now.
in my own right.
Do
but
you root for the Steelers now, or are you still?
I don't watch a whole lot of football, to be honest with you, but I'll watch a Steeler game before I watch a Jet game right now.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
it's,
that's, yeah.
it's hard not to. Now, baseball, I will always be I'm much more of a baseball fan than I am anything else, so I'll always be much more of a
Mets fan.
Mets guy.
Yeah,
but,
well, we don't have much to offer
But
you,
I
so.
can get sucked into the Steelers real easy.
Yeah, especially when they're playing well, which they are right now. So it's like the town, like when you own your own business, it's like it's the house, the weather in Pittsburgh. Like, how about them Steelers? You know, like,
yeah.
like
Well,
it gets you through a lot of awkward situations.
I think just the pace of everything, took me the longest time to get used to because everything in New York and New Jersey is just bam, 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 go, go, go. And things are just, not that it's not slow here, but it's definitely a little bit more chill and a little bit more laid back.
I describe that about Pittsburgh. So if you go south, everything is like everybody's running in molasses. You go to New York and you have to run down the sidewalks to keep up with everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Pittsburgh's kind of the medium.
Yes.
And, everything's faster pace than it is in the South, but New York and New Jersey is a different animal.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just going down the highway, if you're not doing 80, 85 mile an hour on the highway in New York, you're getting run the
Oh,
fuck
yeah.
over.
Even if you're in the right lane, not doing
Yeah.
85.
People
Yeah,
will
you're
honk
getting
at you to get going at a red light here, like when it turns green. In New York, they just hit you.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
give you the old
it's,
New
yeah.
York tap and go. Like,
yeah.
just
Well, the
go.
weirdest thing with the red lights is when you're in New York and New Jersey, even if you're 30 cars deep at a red light, the second the light turns green, every single person starts to move in unison.
Right.
Where here, it drives me crazy
It
because
is crazy.
the light will turn green, one car will be through the intersection, then the next car starts going, and I'm like,
What are we doing?
What is it? And then I feel like the jerk when I'm like. The
getting
guy in
this
front of
guy.
me, I'm with him the whole way through the intersection.
Yeah.
And he's like, why is this guy on me? And I'm like,
grab my ass.
I'm just driving here.
Trying to go.
So it's a business podcast, and we'll get to we want to talk business, but let's start with your story. So you came here, you're in the pizza business now, but you weren't always in the pizza business.
Correct.
But where did you start? I know enough because I've done enough internet stalking.
Yeah.
You did start a little bit in pizza.
What was your major at Boyce? Let's start. Did you have one?
I
or
was
it
an
just-
art major at Boyce, but I was always a business guy at heart. But yeah, so I did a little pizza when I first got here. Actually, my first job when I moved here, I was a carpet cleaner. And I got fired from my job on 9/11/2001.
Oh, wow.
Jesus.
And
where were you?
well, it was kind of a firing and a quit at the same time. And I was just telling this story the other day because the guy that eventually bought that company was in my shop getting pizza the other day. So I was kind of telling him the story. So basically 9/11 happens and I tell my boss, I'm like, I got to go home. I got to like call my family. I want to make sure that like nobody was near there. And his words to me were, what are you getting on the phone going to do? What's that going to do?
Oh, Jesus.
And I was just like, so it was kind of like I got fired and I quit at the same time. Like it was just
So you quit.
Mutual parting of ways.
Yeah, that was.
but that was the last day that I was a carpet cleaner. And then after that, I had met, I had a friend, actually not a friend, my mother had worked for this guy and he was moving his business operation from the Expo Mart in Monroeville down to the Strip District. And I was volunteered to help them move.
Voluntold.
And I was told by my mother that I had to help them move. And that was the day that I met Damiano Pasqualino, who had this big yellow truck that they were using. And I meet him that night and he's like, you got to come work for me. And I did. And then I spent like the next 4 years working for those guys in like a quasi managerial role. I would open one location, close another location, like 7 days a week. And I did that for 4 years and then just moved on into some other stuff.
Do they have several locations, Pasqualino's?
They have 3. So their dad and uncle founded the one that's in Penn Hills, which started as Pizza Palace. So 1971, I want to say. And then their father ran that until just a few years ago. And during COVID, but not of COVID, both of his parents had passed away. And then because they have the other 2 restaurants, didn't want to be running a third, so their cousin bought out, kind of their half of it. And, so there's 3 locations, but the brothers that I'm close with run the Murraysville and the North Huntington location, and then their cousin runs the Penn Hills location.
So it's all still within the family.
All still within the family, and they are legends. I mean, 50 years of pizza. I mean, you figure Pittsburgh didn't get its first pizza until the early 1950s. Oh. So you're talking that company started within 20 years of that, and has been running for 50 years. So they're like legends of the.
And I think they do like catering and stuff like that too. Like
they do it all.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up right down the hill in Oakmont. I can remember their stuff being there for catering events and stuff like that.
They're actually doing the U.S. Open.
Oh yeah.
So
my wife's a big fan of that of Pizza Palace and Pizza.
Their stuffed shells are like the greatest thing of all time.
Mm-hmm. They're good. They have good stuff.
So you're there for 4 years. So you've now like got the feel of pizza.
I got the feel of pizza, but I wasn't really making a whole lot of pizza at that time. Like I was part of making the pizza that won the best pizza in Pittsburgh on the Bubba Show in 2002, which was a cool experience. It's just a great story. And that was like a big catalyst for them too, because they had always been great, but that like for their Murraysville location, which was still fairly new at the time, that was like a big thing that kind of brought everybody in. So it was cool to be a part of that with them. And but yeah, I wasn't really making a whole lot of pizza. I was doing a lot of other things. I was managing front of house, managing a little bit of back of the house.
But learning the pizza business.
Yeah, I was kind of an everything man. But obviously, if you said you've seen some of my stuff, I mean, I've stayed very, very close with those boys, and
that's good.
They've been a big part of my success. And
one of the things that I noticed from your content and from the episode, or from the Portnoy's episode, is the camaraderie almost of the pizza owners in the Pittsburgh area. Maybe not all of them.
Yeah.
But probably of the better of them, right? So the higher tier pizza shops they all seem to have good relationships with each other.
Yeah.
Mutual respect.
Text threads.
Yeah, text threads.
Game recognizes game. You know what I mean?
I noticed that you had, and I don't know, I didn't see anything after this, so I don't know if they took you up on it, but I know that when Iani's had that fire, that you had offered them your store for the 2 weeks that you were gone. Yep. Did they end up taking you up on the offer?
They didn't, but they ended up just dispersing their staff to other locations, because they have multiple locations. Sure. But again, it was there for them if they wanted it. But we did raise some money for their employees. I want to say between us and Yellow Bridge, we raised like $2,000 in
That's
a week and a half.
That's awesome.
That went just straight to their employees' pockets, which was...
Yeah, that's part of it that like people don't really understand. Like when there's a fire in a business, the owner's going to be okay. It's going to take some time. Most times you're going to be even better off. Like
the owner has insurance.
Right.
Yes.
The employees don't.
Yeah.
You know, they may be out of luck. They're out of a job.
Exactly. And they're losing tip money and stuff like that. Right. So we had separate tip jars just for them. And it was a cool thing. But yeah, I mean, you know what, the way I describe it is not necessarily with tiers, but I would say that the pizza shop owners in Pittsburgh that care on a deeper level about the product before the business, those are the ones where we're all friends.
Yeah.
Because it's a craft thing. It's just there's just a level of care that goes into the product that's just different than your typical, slam and jam.
Yeah, and I think that's bleeding through though to like other pizza shops because I'll give them a shout out on here. There's the Upper Crust by my house.
Yeah. I've been wanting to try them.
And they just started a new deep dish pizza. Like, and the guy was like pumped because he had like a baking background. And it's like, this is now like this is now lended itself to like try new things for guys that would normally just keep making their cheese pizzas and breadsticks and banging them out and making a paycheck. Yeah. And it's like getting to a point where it's like artisan like. Yeah. So that's exciting.
There's an artisan movement happening right now. Yeah. And it's cool to see. It's cool to be a part of it. Again, as an outsider coming in and then being a part of some change, it's fun stuff.
Pittsburgh, we're not just fries on a sandwich, man.
Right. Hey, listen, but there's nothing wrong with that.
It's interesting to see, and I think we've talked about this in other episodes, but so my younger brother is an Air Force veteran, and he's been all over the country. He spent some time in New Hampshire and actually met his wife up there. He was in Portsmouth area in New Hampshire, stationed at the Pease Air National Guard Base. They had an active duty wing there. He was there for 4 years or so. And when this was, 6, 7, 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, maybe. And when we were up there, we were in downtown Portsmouth the one day. And I noticed and I had mentioned to him that in downtown Portsmouth, there's a corner of town. Downtown Portsmouth is like kind of like an old world downtown. It's like cobblestone roads, old buildings. Yeah. Really a neat little town, right? And in the one little corner of this little town square, you've got a little mom and pop coffee shop and you've got a Starbucks. And at one point, I'm standing there and I noticed that there's a line out the door for the mom and pop shop, and there's nobody at Starbucks. And I said, look at that. I said, why is there nobody at Starbucks? And he said, because people in Portsmouth are different. People up here would rather spend their money at the mom and pop shop than the chain. Yeah. People have an appreciation up here. He said, it's different. It's weird. He said, mom and pop shops do better up here than the chains. Yeah. And I've noticed that has bled down to the Pittsburgh area, and I think even nationally, where even, if you look at these restaurants, when I was in college, and I've had this conversation with my wife, on a Friday night, we went to TGI Fridays. I haven't been to a chain restaurant. I can't even tell you how long, because you go to small,
and they're failing.
Right.
TGI Fridays.
These big restaurant chains are failing because people are going to local-owned restaurants.
I think COVID exposed a lot of that.
Yes.
People, we own our own businesses, so we hear it. Oh, you got to be doing well. You own your own business, right? But when COVID hit, everybody was struggling so much that it was like hard to believe that business owners could struggle. So they were like then rallying around smaller.
There's definitely a movement towards small business, and then that artisan movement is happening, and it's making it exponentially more impactful, where you've got these small businesses, these small restaurants that are taking time to really craft their menus and these special dishes that they're not just throwing slop on a plate like a chain restaurant would be, but these are specially crafted menus from a chef that took time to develop the flavors and everything in the palate and everything like that. And it's neat to see that everybody's pushing towards small business.
And that's the biggest roadblock though too, because even though people are starting to gravitate towards small business, it's hard to break the mental barrier that the small business doesn't have the operational systematic setup that the big corporate businesses have, right? So you have a lot of people that are just pre-programmed into I want it and I want it now and I want it fast and I want it this.
Yeah.
And so you've noticed probably from my social media, like we push back on that mentality, right? Because there's a retraining that needs to happen that it's great that you are supporting small business and it's awesome and we want you, right? But it's a small business. It's a family run operation, right? There's not 30 people in the kitchen that are just pumping stuff out, right? It's me making every pizza. Yeah. My son's on the oven. My wife's in the front, right? So and we move fast, right? Yeah. But you're not going to get a pizza at 5 o'clock in 20 minutes on a Friday.
Yeah, you're not going to get the quality that you're going to get from a place like yours in 30 minutes or less.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
But it's happening though. People are starting to kind of break that mold a little bit, but it is a full retraining as you even like the Olive Gardens, the Red Lobsters, again, they're going and they're going fast.
My day to day, I own a dry cleaners, right?
Okay.
So customers will be like, well, I didn't get that shirt back. And I'm like, well, there's a huge spot on the front of that shirt. I'm not giving it back to you until it's ready to wear. So maybe it'll be a week late now on delivery, but you weren't going to wear it if I'd have sent it back last Tuesday anyway.
True.
So you got to trust, when you do what you do and I do what I do, people need to know to trust us.
Yes.
You're going to get the best thing, and that's part of training your customers too, which kind of got lost.
Yeah, training customers, firing customers.
Yeah, people forgot all about that part of it. I used to have a retail location where Monday through Friday we were open. People would come in at 7 a.m, be like, I need this at noon. And sometimes we would do it. But every time I did do it, I explained to them, this isn't normal. This is going to cost you more money.
Yep.
And don't get in the habit of this.
Yeah.
Because some people just didn't know.
So where did the band list start? Was it just one dude and you're like, you're never coming back?
So there is a story behind the start of the band list. It's actually a pretty funny story. So when we were in our first location in Manor, which was a little hole in the wall, we can get into the startup of it too, but so we had this guy, we had this round Sicilian on our menu, and this was a massive, massive pizza. It was an 18-inch round Sicilian that was 2 inches thick.
Hey.
And so this guy one night, he's clearly intoxicated, right? He orders a white version of that pizza. So he leaves. He actually calls that night to say that it was the best pizza he had ever eaten in his life. Okay? And I'm like, oh, dude, that's so awesome. Thank you so much. Get some rest.
Glad you didn't drive.
Yeah, I'm glad you got home okay. And so the next day, this guy pulls into the parking lot and he's got a pizza box in his hand. What the heck's going on here? He throws the pizza box on the table, opens it up. There's one slice left, okay? And he's like, there's no sauce on this pizza. I'm like, you ordered a white pizza. Of course there's no sauce on it. There's, what's going on here? And then he starts throwing a little scene. And I'm like, dude, you called me last night to tell me it was the best pizza you ever had. You ate all of it. And now you want your money back? He literally was asking for his money back. But what really happened was he realized he drank all his money. He paid for a very, very expensive pizza, right? And that expensive pizza probably would have bought a case of beer. I don't know how much a case of beer costs. I'm not a big drinker, but I would assume it was somewhere in that range. And he was trying to get beer money for the next day. Dude, I kicked him out. I chased him out and had some very choice words for him. And that was the first person that, at the time, it wasn't a band wall. It was a 12-inch by 12-inch pizza box that was on the counter. and it was the band box. And that was the first person that ever went into the band box. But it has since grown exponentially.
It feels so good to fire a customer.
It does. I mean, I don't aim to do it. It's just that we just have zero tolerance for any level of attitude and entitlement.
Right. And other customers benefit from it. So like one
Yeah.
person gets banned, but if you have some underlining problems like that are fixable or like more reasonable, you can really like devote some energy to that. Like,
Oh, yeah.
fire this prick, deal with these 5 assholes. They're going to be good. This person's just out. You know what I mean? And that's I've had to throw some people out of my place.
When you get the opportunity to do it, go through my social media videos, and there's one that's called Hater Math. And we created a whole algorithm behind a hater or somebody we put on the ban list, and how that one customer nets us 3 loyal customers. And we go in through all the mathematics behind how we get those.
There's a
3
lot of
loyal
truth to that
customers.
too. Like I've had that happen where like you throw a customer out. Like I had a guy one time come in, I was working on his raincoat. He absolutely needed it. It was in the cleaning machine. He's like, I need it now. I'm like, sir, it'll be done in 40 minutes. It's in the machine. He's like, I want it now. I went back, I paused the machine, I brought it back. I brought it up soaping wet. It was in the water, like a wet clean machine.
love it.
I put it in a bag and threw it on the counter. I was like, there's your jacket. Like,
Yeah.
You want to be an asshole, like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, this is my business. Like,
And the way that we do it with it's actually a big convenience. And for some reason, people see it as an inconvenience, right? Because how many times have you ordered a pizza from somewhere and they're like, yeah, it'll be ready in 20 minutes. And then you get there and it's 20 more minutes.
Right.
And then 15 more minutes after that, where if you call and you're like, hey, listen, I want a pizza at 5 o'clock and we have a spot and can get you in, it is ready at 5 o'clock.
Right.
Like I have been late in 4 years, maybe 5 total times.
yeah.
And usually because I messed something up or got a hole in a pizza or something like that.
to redo something.
But our customers never, ever, ever wait when they're given an assigned time.
That's
But
awesome.
we also get mad when they're late
Yeah, I can imagine.
because we work really, really hard to be on time and to be prompt.
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
And
My buddy Craig ordered from you guys. We watch UFC on Saturdays.
yeah,
He called me like the Monday before. He's like, I'm going to call the pizza place and order the pizza. And I'm like, what? He's like, you have to go at a specific time. They only make so many a day. He's like, they're slammed. I got to call a week in advance. And he's like, you have to be there at 6:30. I was like,
oh yeah.
geez.
Well, what we do is at 15 minutes late, we will call you
Yeah.
to let you know that your cold pizza is ready. Because there's 6 inches of insulation on top of my oven. It's not staying hot on top of the
Yeah,
oven.
right, yeah.
And that your cold pizza is ready. And if you don't answer, okay, because if you answer and you're like, hey, I'm in traffic, I'm this, no big deal, no problem, right? But if there's no answer on that phone call, we will call 5 minutes later one more time. And if you don't answer that phone call, your pizza's going in the slice case. And then when you get there, you can pay slice price, right? Because, I worked hard to get that
You
pizza
can have
ready.
what's left of it too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, you still want it now? Yeah, then you can pay the markup.
I wish I
And,
worked close by. I'd be like, hey, if someone doesn't come, just call me. I'll run over and grab
Oh,
it.
we have people that are like
the wait list.
Yeah, like so usually I'll make sometimes I'll just make a social media post like, hey, I got a pizza ready to go.
We got one on deck.
And they'll first one to call gets it, and then boom, the phones just start
That's awesome.
ringing. It's
That
pretty
helps
wild.
balance your cost too, like, and understand your business. Like,
Yeah.
because some Fridays there might be a Mike Tyson fight,
Yeah.
and you get pounded.
Was there a Mike Tyson fight?
The
I don't know,
dance.
they danced around the ring for a little bit.
He got paid like he fought.
Yeah, exactly.
They did get paid.
But you got these events that would boost your business, and it's great. And you're like, we really did good this week. But like with your setup, like you're really running it like a smooth
We
operation.
know what we're making every day.
Yeah.
We know what we're making every week.
Right.
And there's some variation with like side items and stuff like that. And occasionally you do get an occasional, slow day that mixes in there. But for the most part, we know what we're making every single week. We know what we're making every single day. We know what we're making every single hour.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's like clockwork.
That's what's important.
That's really
in business.
nice.
And that we didn't intend for that to be that way. That all happened kind of organically because we just never thought it was going to be as busy as it was. And it just kind of took off.
How did it all start, I guess?
Yeah, I was a COVID baby.
Okay.
Oh boy.
So, I had been out of pizza for, 15 years. And I was a corporate learning and development specialist, like for the 12 years prior. And so COVID happens and I'm bored out of my mind. So I used to travel a lot for work. All the travel stopped and I'm working from home and I hate it. Like I need people, like I need it. And so I just started tinkering, but I got to reconnect with some friends from back home that I haven't talked to in a little while. And we would all play video games every night. We're playing Call of Duty, we're playing golf, we're playing, just stupid shit, just catching up.
Wife loves that, I assume.
Yeah, oh yeah, they were while I was working upstairs. My whole household's downstairs having a great time,
Cooking pizzas.
Yeah, wow me. So my brother and I were talking about toying around with some pizza stuff, like just prior to COVID, like right at the very beginning, and then when it happened. So when I reconnected with some friends, they're in the food world, they're chefs. We have some friends that are very highly regarded in the pizza world that were willing to share some tips and tricks. So we put together, like a starter recipe, and we were just kind of screwing around with it. And then my brother and I were like, let's do something with this. And so long story short, my brother didn't end up coming out at the time. He couldn't move from Long Island, like in the middle of COVID. He needed to just get his stuff straight. But we had gotten so deep into making these pizzas at home that I was selling them out of the house to like friends and family. And then I was doing these driveway pizza parties. And, the Pasqualinos would come and, they'd be like, hey, once they kind of gave me their stamp of approval that they were like, hey, I think you've got something here. That's kind of really when we went full force. So when we started selling pizza out of the house, which we were actually not selling pizza out of the house. We were selling pizza boxes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
For $20 a box.
That were full of pizza.
That just so happened to have a box full of pizza when you came to
it was a raffle.
So we were doing about 50 pies a week just to friends and family. And then we were taking all of that money. So this is where like the fun business stuff comes in and how we kind of built this thing grassroots with no money. So I was buying food off of the Pasqualinos. Like they would get me like a case of tomatoes, case of cheese, all the stuff that I needed. And then as I started to accumulate money from doing it out of the house, I would go on these auction websites and find like a school that was closing and they were selling their 60-quart
Mixer.
Hobart mixer.
Those are badass.
And, I got one of those for like $600 out of a school that cost me $500 just to get it to my house, but then I flipped that because that was too big for what I needed. So I ended up selling that and then flipping that into buying more used equipment, making more pizzas. And then before I knew it, I had a garage that had two 60-year-old Blodgett pizza ovens that were in the worst shape you ever saw. And I thought they were perfect because I got them for $800.
They were seasoned.
Right? Yeah. And they're still operating right this second. Got them for $800. The deal when I got that came with a 30-quart Hobart mixer, also for the same within the same $800. That was perfect.
Yeah.
Found a woman that was closing her convenience store to move to London, and I got like a $4,000 prep table for $1,000.
Wow.
That was like in pristine, brand new condition. Threw it in the garage. And then, so once I had a garage full of equipment, then I had to find a location. And then we found the single worst location in the history of pizzerias. This place was in a town called Manor, this sleepy little town in the middle of nowhere between like Penn Trafford and Irwin. This place had been 17 different pizza shops over the years. It's been there forever. It's just been a rotating pizza shop place. The rent was $700 a month. And I said, perfect.
Let's do it.
It's perfect. Because if I failed, I wasn't going to lose anything on it, right? We're talking $700 a month. So I signed a 3-year lease on it.
Okay.
And there was literally nothing to lose. And I got 3 months free rent up front. So,
and it was already a pizza shop.
So it had a hood that worked. And it had decent tile on the floor. Some were cracking, but I got them to actually replace the floor in there before we even moved in.
And you're grandfathered in from the occupancy bullshit.
Yeah, it was takeout only. You know, the whole, I would say the whole pizza shop was the size of this room. So like actually pretty much the exact size of this room, and maybe it has the exact floor too.
Maybe we need
carpet too.
Maybe we need.
Sounds like a nice
pizza
place.
oven
Yeah, you can fit them. I mean, mine were kind of right where your brother's sitting over there.
Did you quit the day job at that point? You're like, I'm going for this?
Yeah, so
Called your boss and you're like, I'm going to Sling Pizza.
It was funny because in the middle of COVID, we shot down a Hilton Head one night, like randomly. And I do my best thinking on the beach. I need to be at the ocean to like really center myself. And so I call my boss and I'm like, hey, I'm not going to make it to work today.
Or ever again.
She's like, why not? And I just sent her a picture of the beach.
And now a brief word from our sponsor.
Streamline your life with Duro Cleaner's complete pickup and delivery service. From your doorstep to our state-of-the-art cleaning facilities, and back, all without you lifting a finger. You get time back in your day and clothes that feel fresh and look fabulous. And just wait, big changes are coming soon to make your experience even better.
And I just sent her a picture of the beach. And I was like, I'll explain next week. And because I had just gotten done reading this book from Mark Manson called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah, it's a good book.
And and I've really embraced that book. if you
your
can
lights
tell.
down now.
So that was my first I don't really give a fuck moment, that I was like, I don't, and I have a lot of respect for the people that I was working for. Again, I had been doing that job for a dozen years.
Karen's all right.
Yeah. And so I got back and she was like, what the hell?
How was the beach?
How was the beach? And I was like, I was like, I'm going to quit. I said, but I'll give you a month notice. And, which really was a day's notice because I didn't do anything for that month.
Yeah.
I mean, I was there, but I wasn't like there. I was like, at that point, I was literally playing video games while
That's
I was
always
working.
like my hardest thing with owning a business is people give you a 2 weeks notice and you really appreciate it. But like you bite your tongue, you want to be like, you know what, if you don't want to be here, get the fuck out. But like the next person is going to be like, well, you told them to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
So it's like a toss up.
You know what I always did, and somehow HR always approved of it. But in my corporate life, whenever somebody would quit, I would actually just pay them out the 2 weeks and let them go.
Yeah.
Because they were going to be a distraction for the 2 weeks. They were going to take away from other people's productivity.
They're a liability.
And but it was weird because HR never let other managers do that for some reason. But for me, I was like, listen, we got to just get this person out of the building. Even if I liked the person, it was just that.
Yeah, there's a liability.
It was
there.
going to be a cancer sitting there. So it was like, let's get him out and move on. But yeah, so I quit my job and I had 3 months no rent. I had enough of money to kind of get me through getting open.
Right.
And we started the whole entire business for $15,000. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that was equipment. That was, security deposit on the rent. That was inspections, signage, like getting everything done for $15,000. And when I told the Pasqualinos, I was like, this is my budget. They were like, it'll never happen.
Yeah.
Like just like the oven that I have now costs like 4 times the amount of that.
Right.
But we got it done. And the day that we opened, in the business bank account, I had $80 left. Okay.
Oh.
And that was including getting my first food purchase. So I had enough food purchased for 2 weeks of business. Okay. And at the end of those 2 weeks, when we opened, I had paid myself back completely and we turned profitable on our 15th day.
Why?
Good for you.
And that's where I'm excited to kind of talk about business because that's the story that like a lot of people don't know, right? And the reason why most businesses fail and the reason why most food businesses fail is because people go out and they get these loans, right?
Huge overhead.
And then you're attached to this nut that you've got to make, right? And we were in for essentially no money. And the only reason we made it was because of that, because I could have easily gone to the bank, borrowed $100,000. I would have overspent on shit that I didn't need. And not having a big budget allowed me to just really search and weave my way through this world. Now, granted, because I flipped some things, we probably spent closer to $20,000, but out of my pocket, it was $15,000.
The timing was right. I don't know about the restaurant equipment industry, but like during COVID, we were flush with used equipment. So like if I needed to get a press, you could buy a press. There was 30 of them on eBay for $1,000.
Oh yeah.
Now that market shrunk significantly because people that are in business are going to stay in business.
Yeah.
That got rid of a lot of people. So I'm sure restaurants were like freaking out and selling off shit.
Well, that's what happened is people went out of business before they knew they were going to get help.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, there was no help for a startup. So I never got any of the good stuff that the people that got help, that got like, some people got like a lot of money and money that they didn't have to pay back. Unfortunately, I didn't get to partake in any of that fun, which would have been awesome. But yeah, so I don't want to say we took advantage, but like we were just able to.
Right place, right time. That's all.
And COVID was the right catalyst for takeout, and then I brought a different personality that people had never seen before in this region.
Yeah.
That they were like, what is going on with this dude? Because I really dove into the shtick of the New Yorker and and I still play into the shtick, and it's really
it's just the true you coming back out 24 years later.
Yeah, but we
like,
had
finally
no
I get to
marketing
be
budget.
myself again.
Yeah, I mean, no marketing budget at all, and so we just rolled with it. But
so how did you get the word out then? Because you're brand new, right? I mean, other than the people that were buying out of your driveway, nobody knows who you are.
Yeah.
You're Slice of New York. You're brand new. Now, I would imagine, I don't know a ton about Manor, but I know that area well enough to know that
there's nothing
that
there.
Style pizza.
Population 57.
You don't have any competition. Your competition is chains,
Yeah.
right?
So we did have the Aiello spinoff over there, which was like right up the street, which was really, really good.
Aiello spinoff?
Yeah.
They opened up there?
Well, what happened was the son, Pete, had his own, like broke off from the family business, started his own thing.
It was called A Slice of Pittsburgh.
Yeah. And it was Aiello's Harrison City. But he said he had since closed that and I believe moved down south. But he ran that for probably about 10 years.
Oh, okay.
So wait, Harrison City, doesn't Scampone's dad have the Foxes in Harrison City?
Okay, yeah. That's,
so
they have one over here too in Omaha.
We went to high school with them.
Yeah, they run a really nice business over there too.
He was on episode like 4.
Yeah, he was pretty early. He's a client of mine, and we went to school with him.
Yeah, good people.
Yeah, but that area mainly chain pizza. So you brought a different product to that area.
Yeah, and if it's not chain, it operates like a chain, meaning it's like conveyor, slam and jam, cooked on screens, like cooked the same way a fast food pizza would be.
So you brought a different product to the neighborhood, but other than that, how did you use social media for your marketing back then?
Yeah, social media was everything. So what I did was I started getting involved into all the local town groups. So it was like, what's happening in the PT area? Soccer moms of Manor. So I started just infiltrating these groups, and then I made one video before the store was open. I actually made it in my kitchen where I was talking about. It was like my first kind of like shit talk video where I was talking about how like in New York City, like every pizza, regardless of if it's a tiny pizza or an 18-inch pizza, it's always cut in 8 slices. So I did a video about like little tiny baby slices versus like a big New York slice that you were gonna get. And people hated it so much that it got tons of views. And when I say tons of views, for a relative nobody, it got like a couple of thousand.
Right.
But it was all local people.
For Manor, that's a ton of people.
So
that's
then
everybody in Manor saw that video.
Yeah, like literally all the people in Manor. So, but I started seeing that our follower number started to rise from that. So once there was any little bit of like something even slightly considered controversial, our follower number would grow. So we were able to do some grassroots marketing before we ever opened our doors, just while I was making pizzas out of the house, just making these little videos, posting stuff. And we just started generating a little bit of a following so that by the day we opened, there was enough like local buzz in the town that people showed up.
So I was on the internet online a couple weeks ago after I had talked to you, but I think it was while you were away. And did you do the video about the proper way to eat pineapple pizza?
Yes.
I was like, I think that's Sean.
Yeah. That was our most viral hit.
Yeah. And it wasn't you that posted it. It was like a repost of it. And I'm like, that was
It's
it.
still
What
going.
did you do?
It's
Just
still
throw it in the
going.
garbage?
So
Fucking right, he did.
we were having a slow night. It
I
was
haven't
like a
seen it. I was
Tuesday
hoping
night.
that's what it was.
And my daughter was like, you gotta make a TikTok. And I'm like, TikTok's for kids. I'm not doing freaking TikTok. And so finally I was like, my son had like just gotten his driver's license, so he's like dying to drive anywhere. And I'm like, can you just go run to Giant Eagle real quick and just go get a can of pineapple? And we're gonna do something funny. We're gonna do it in one take and just see what happens. So I make this pineapple pizza. And so the whole video is how to properly eat it. And that was our first time kind of calling out Dave Portnoy that he has to come check us out. And so we make this pizza with the pineapple on it. It's got like the perfect fold. It was like the perfect pizza. And then right before I eat it, and the tagline of the video is, and then you throw it in the fucking garbage. Like right before I eat it. Everybody saw it coming the whole time, right? Like, and
he went through the whole process. He made this pizza. It looked like it was perfectly made. He sliced it. He's like, then you take it, and you fold it, then you throw it in the fucking trash.
I'm actually a little offended you guys haven't seen it. You know,
It's funny. When I first grew like my mustache, like years ago, I went on YouTube to figure out how to trim it.
Yeah.
And it was like the top viewed video was like this guy. He like sat down and like like he's getting all into it, and then he just throws the fucking scissors and he goes, "You don't trim your fucking mustache." I'm like, "All right then, we're gonna rock with it.
Gonna let it grow." So that hits overnight on TikTok. It gets 2 million views like in the first week. And I'm like, all right, so there's something to this TikTok thing, right?
Let's do this.
And then I made a bunch more TikTok videos that did nothing.
Yeah.
So, and
Tell me about it. We have 55 episodes of it.
so it was probably a year after the video came out. I had become really good friends with this guy, Mark Schechter, who owns like a chain of pizza shops in the Bay Area, San Francisco. And he also owns the pizza Instagram, like just the word pizza. Okay. So we're a part of this pizza club together. That's like I told you, we have like our local group, but I'm also part of a national group that like we meet like 5 nights a week and talk shop. So he's coaching me a little bit on just like random social media stuff. We're having like just a little conversation, and I'm like, hey, I got this one video that went accidental viral on TikTok. And he goes, oh, what's viral? And I'm like, 2 million views. And he kind of like giggled. He like, oh, that's cute. 2 million views, right? And he goes, send it to me. Okay. So I'm like, okay. So I send it to him, and he posts it. And like nothing happens like for the first 2 days. It's like it's getting some traction. It gets like a couple of 100,000 views, and then all of a sudden there's like celebrities commenting on the video. It's being reshared. And I think right now on Instagram it's just under 25 million views.
Wild.
And then now people are screen grabbing it. Like if we counted all the views, it's probably close to 50 million because people are screen grabbing it. And it's like the one you saw was probably the Jersey Girls life. That's where it's going viral currently. It's got several million views there.
It's probably a GIF at some point.
Yeah,
like,
it's
Oh
a
yeah,
big
and it's
thing.
still, and actually I had reached out to Barstool to do a t-shirt collaboration after Portnoy came in, that there should be like a little silhouette of me like with the thing, and then the tagline, throw it in the fucking garbage, like is like a t-shirt. And so hopefully maybe they see this and they
we've been bitching out McAfee quite a bit on here too.
yeah.
So.
Trying to get him on. We did
He's a
order.
local like plum dude.
guy,
yeah.
over the hill, yeah.
We ordered 8.2 crew shirts
Oh, right on.
for the episode. They didn't come in.
You know what? It's funny because we ordered our 8.2 crew shirts. Like, we had no idea they were coming out. And the second that was announced, they were for sale.
Yeah.
And so we ordered a bunch, and then ours took forever to come. But then I had customers coming in
With their shirts on.
shirt on. I'm like, how the fuck did you get it?
No, you think it's anyone first? It's me. That's my fucking shit.
But yeah, so that video just went, and it's still got legs. Like, it's really wild. And
Did you do that at the Murraysville store or the Manor store?
that was at the Manor store.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so because I'm already in, I'm almost 2 years into Murraysville. Almost, I guess in March will be officially.
Lies.
So did you spend the whole 3 years at Manor?
The whole 3 years at Manor, well, it was like 2.5 probably, because once I had committed to the Murraysville spot, I just called up a buddy of mine because I was just going to move everything from Manor to Murraysville. And, you know, I was like, it'd be nice to have some newer equipment and stuff like that. So I reached out to a buddy of mine who had also always wanted to own a pizza shop. And I was like, hey, do you still want to own a pizza shop? And he was like, yeah. I was like, well, make me an offer. So he gave me an offer, and then I ended up negotiating against myself, and I charged him 20 grand less than he offered me because I wasn't trying to make money off the shop.
Yeah.
I just wanted enough money to get all the cool, fun, new shit that I needed for the new shop.
Right.
You know, so I knew what that dollar amount was, and I knew that I could run it down to $80 again.
Yeah, right.
And be fine. And so I sold it to him. They're doing really, really well, by the way. They changed the name slightly. It's called an Extra Slice of New York. It's like a quasi-licensee. Their pizza is the same as the pizza was when I left that location. Okay. So, but that's what they got in the deal, right? So, and then obviously the pizza's evolved tremendously. So now our pizzas are different, but you still get a really, really high quality, great pizza at the Manor location.
So how's the pizza evolved? I know that the ingredients have evolved. I know that evolved. And I know that your son's involved now with the dough and like that. Yeah. Is that a big part of the
Oh gosh, evolution? Yeah, because we're sourdough now. We're
Okay.
getting like handmade cheese out in Lancaster, PA, Spring Grove specifically, but it's near Lancaster. Like we have gone full artisanal, full nerd, and just really embraced it because now we're just on this food health kick.
Yeah.
And you know, the stuff that's in our foods that we eat every day. And the other food at Extra Slice is still healthy food. It's just now that with sourdough it's healthier, but it's trickier, you know, and my pizza is way more expensive than the Manor pizza, but the Manor, like, how do I say this and not offend anybody, but like the clientele in Manor, the price point works there, right? Where with the ingredients that I'm using now, it's an expensive pizza.
Yeah, your customer base in Murraysville and exports more.
But Manor's not going to pay $25 for a plain cheese 18-inch pizza. Yeah, you know, but they'll pay $20. You know, and that's cool.
Did you buy the new building, or you have a lease on that?
No, I have a lease there
Okay.
as well, and I signed another short lease.
All right.
You know, so July 1st, 2026.
Pack it up and go if you wanted to.
My lease is up.
No.
And so we'll see what happens. I've got plans to.
You know, you can extend leases, right? You don't have to fucking blow it all up and move.
All of my friends that are like in the business are like, why didn't you sign a 20-year lease? Why didn't you do this? But, you know, I never intended the business to get to where it got, you know, and it all happened very organically. You know, I've been fighting growth for 4 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, now we have just like within the last 2 weeks made the decision to quit fighting the growth and go full force on the growth. And, you know, we're moving into something big.
Yeah, I just tore my business in half.
Yeah, so that's what so let's talk about that.
Yeah.
And then I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
That you just laid there. That egg that you just laid there.
Yeah.
So
Little seed.
The way you started this is a smart way to start this business, right? And it's a mistake that I see a lot of business owners and we made, right?
Yeah,
And when you start a business owners starting out they're hungry. They want every bit of revenue because the common misconception is that higher that top number is, the more money I'm going to make. And a lesson that most business owners learn is that doesn't necessarily mean the higher the top number does not necessarily mean the higher the profit.
Yeah.
Usually
Nobody focuses on the profit.
The profit is what you want. You want a higher profit.
Yeah. I want low numbers, high profit.
Right.
That's, like,
That higher top number a lot of times just means that you just have a higher stress level.
yeah.
And a lot of times you end up in a situation, and we've talked about this before, where you're just basically all stressed out and you're just working your ass off to pay employees.
Yeah.
And then you end up in a business where, we've been in business for 7, 10, 12 years, 14 years. And now it's like, okay, wait, I need to shrink this back down. I need to take a look at what I'm doing, and I need to shrink this down into a more manageable quantity, figure out what's working, what's making me money, what's not making me money, shed off what's not, focus on what is, and then grow that. You started that way.
Yeah.
So I think that's, you nailed it. And
Well, you have to have, most people go into business for the wrong reason, right? Most people go into the business just to make money.
Right.
And I'm not saying money's not important.
Sure.
Right? But if making money is your number one priority as a business, you will fail
Go work for somebody.
100% of the time.
Yeah.
Right? And you have to have a deep-seated reason why you're doing what you're doing, right? It's not just about knowing what you want, right? It's knowing why you want it, how is it going to change your life when you get it, but what is the real core value, right? And mine was just to make great pizza, right? Money matters, right? I'm not a wealthy person, right? But money only matters so much. Like, yes, we need to be profitable, but the product being great is the sole core value of the business.
Right.
Period.
The money will come.
Yes.
Well, that's exactly what happened in my business. So we were small dry cleaners in a great location, and we were doing so much volume that I like to look at everything before it goes out the door.
Yeah.
Well, when you're doing, 600 shirts a day, you can't. Like, there's not enough hours in the day. So in order for me to go on vacation, I had to close my shop down because it was just too much to be like, all right, you guys take care of this, I'll be back. And then you started looking at it and you're like, all right, well, we did $200,000 more than we did last year. And I still have all the same financial problems that I had last year.
Right.
So I'm like, what are we doing here that's wrong?
Yeah.
And I want a higher clientele. I want quality clothes that I know that are quality. I don't, if you're like, hey man, can I get a suit done? I don't want to have to seek your order out before it goes out the door to make sure it's right.
Yeah.
I want it to just go out the door and it be fucking right. And we had a high payroll and we had high rent and all this shit was going on. And we talked about it and we were like, there's no way to stop now. The train's moving. You either just keep running on this train until it fails, or you hop off right now, cut it in half, and scale back from there. That's what we did that in September.
Well, I think people's motives oftentimes get in the way, right? Because people get far too caught up in wanting to keep up with the Joneses, right? Got to have the nicer car than the other soccer mom across the street, right? And people get so far caught up in that, where the way we live our lives is we just don't give a fuck about what anybody thinks. So I don't live in a big house. I can afford a big house, right? But I live in a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath townhouse. My kids are grown. What the fuck I need a big house for, right? Because guess what? I had kids young. So by the time I got myself to a point where I could afford the big house, my kids were already in high school, right? Or just getting ready to be in high school. So I'm like, the fuck's a big house gonna do? I'm in a big empty house in 4 years, right? So again, didn't need that. I drive used cars, right? Why am I gonna take the hit for somebody else, right? So I drive used cars. We don't spend money. I do like to spend money on experiences. If I go to a concert, I like to sit in the first 10 rows, right? there are things I do spend money on, right? But I'd rather have experiences and things like that. But I don't get caught up in any of the look at me bullshit, right? Nice. And that's where people go wrong, because they want to make more money so that they can spend more money, right? And then they just get caught up in this cycle of this lifestyle, and then they just keep competing with people that don't give a fuck about them anyway, right? Nor do they give a shit, right? And it's just this endless fucking cycle of bullshit. I'm sorry, I'm getting very passionate.
No, you're
here.
good.
Right.
It's a great lesson.
Right, but then they start a business, they start making money, they start spending more money, where like we're growing and I don't want to spend a fucking dime, right? Because guess what? I've been poor as shit, right? I've been through the struggles, right? And I don't want to go back to that. But, you know, and granted, yeah, do I have a couple of nice things here and there? Yeah, but they're only because my accountant told me I needed to buy them, right? You know?
Yeah, we're good for that.
Right? So I would never have that stupid thing if I didn't need to buy it, right? And those are, I guess, you know, problems that come with growing your business. So again, we have fought growth. We have focused solely on the things that we're passionate about. Fortunately, enough people have bought into that passion and decided to spend their money with us. And but now, right now that things have happened that were goals of ours that we thought would never ever happen in a million years happened. Now it's hard to fight the growth any further, right? Because now by fighting the growth, I'm just pissing people off, right? And
well, you seem to be pretty good at that.
Yeah, well, you know, it is a skill, you know, because here's the thing. Like when it comes to mass market success of a product or an idea, two things need to happen at the same time, right? Is you have to have a core fan base that really, really love you. But more importantly than that, you must have a core fan base that really fucking hate you. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. And the reason why that pineapple video went as viral as it did, and if you haven't watched it, you really got to go watch it.
We're going to watch it.
We come across with just enough douchebaggery, right? And come across just unlikable enough that the comments were like, I fucking hate this guy, right? And guess what? Hate is what makes the world go round. I hate to say it,
that's
right?
the truth.
We have a saying at A Slice of New York that those that hate us made us, right? But we have tapped into it in a way that and then we created this character around creating that. Like I had a troll the other day said, you are the single most unlikable pizza person that I've ever seen. I said, but you still follow me and you still click. Right. So and then I said, thanks for the donation. He goes, well, you need to learn how Facebook works. And then I showed him my Facebook paycheck because we are monetized. Yeah. I said, nice. I beg to differ. Checkmate. Right?
One of the things that someone told me a long time ago, she actually worked for my family's dry cleaners. She said what she tries to do in life is tell someone to go fuck themselves and make sure they look forward to the ride.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's always stuck with me in my life because like people need to hear that sometimes.
Yeah.
But like, you don't have to be like, you're not aggressive. Like you're not like,
it can be.
You're not physically attacking someone. You're verbally like attacking, but you're not like throwing shit at someone to throw them out of your store.
And all I'm really doing out there is I poke the bear slightly, and then I just, defend myself, you know, when people say stupid shit. That's real. Again, I occasionally poke the bear, but it gets enough traction. But you got to have both.
Right.
But here's the other thing. You have to have, if my pizza sucked, I could never get away with doing what I do.
Right.
100%.
So you have to have a really great product, then you have to have the soup, and then it all it all comes together. But you have to be willing to not give a shit what people think.
Yeah.
To do that also.
But dude, when Portnoy showed up at your place, you had to have thought, if I fuck this up,
oh my
I've
God.
talked a lot of shit.
Yeah. It's over. Yes.
I better not fuck this up.
I was shaking. It was so funny too because the Saturday night before I was at a wedding, and that night I had gotten wind of everything, and I called my dad and and I was just like, listen, I need you on standby, right? And he's like, for what? I said, because there's something that might happen next week that if it happens, like our lives are going to change forever.
Did they reach out or like
Portnoy?
Yeah, like did you know
prior
he was
to
coming?
Not till the phone call that they ordered the pizza.
Oh, okay.
You were like, listen, motherfucker, you be here at 5 o'clock.
Don't be late.
Selling my fucking pizza.
That would have been fucking hilarious. Because it was one thing him coming and then scoring well, and then the result happened, and then since then, my dad and I have been rolling on this other project because it went well.
Yeah.
And but now we have just all the marketing we'll ever need forever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because the 8.2, no matter what happens,
Can't take
that
it
stays
away.
with us forever.
Yeah.
You know, so you're going to see that in a lot of places.
I'll tell you what, I like him, and he's another one. He's controversial.
Yeah.
He's got that list of people that fucking hate him just as big as people that love him. I like him, and my wife and I one of the things we like to do is like every year we'll do like a little long weekend road trip. We'll get in the car.
Yeah.
We'll drive somewhere. And one of the things we'll always do is we'll open up the One Bite app and try to find a pizza shop that's got a decent rating, and we'll hit it up.
Yeah.
And that shit, there's a lot of people that do that.
Yeah.
And that 8.2 is going to get people for years.
Saturdays are the biggest day where we see the most of that. Like everybody local comes on like during the week, but like on Saturdays is we get the people that are like driving from Ohio, driving from West Virginia, they're driving from Erie, they're driving from Harrisburg. We had somebody that drove from, what was it, Chicago? Him and his dad. Awesome. Like that's all they do is drive around the country going to the 8 and aboves.
8 and aboves.
And they drove out, and and we were so busy. I actually stopped scheduling pizzas for a little bit because I'm like, there's no way somebody's going to drive like 8 to 10 hours for the pizza, and I'm not going to go sit with them for 10 minutes.
Sure.
Right.
You know, and just thank them for, even if they hated it. You know,
Yeah.
and it was
like,
just
what,
to
no
thank them
tip?
for doing that. Yeah. And so that's been a really cool thing too. So Saturdays are like the day that just everybody travels in for pizza, and it's
We
really a lot
love
of
that.
fun.
We've been to Locali in Miami. We've been.
Actually,
we didn't
you
go.
see my sweatshirt? This is Baby Luke's.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
We didn't get to the one. There's one in Brooklyn. The original one's
The
in
original
Brooklyn.
one's in Brooklyn, and then they spun this off right around the corner.
Okay.
So Baby Luke's is Baby Lucali.
Yeah.
And I was just there last week.
Okay. So we went to the one in Miami, which was
We went to the
phenomenal.
Miami one too, but it's not the same as
It's
the one in
not?
Brooklyn. The one in Miami is good.
Not as good.
But the one in Brooklyn was
We'll have to
the
get
best. We waited for 3 hours in line in the middle of winter
Worth it.
just for them to tell us what time to come back for our table, which was an hour after that. And I would do it a million more times. That's how good it was.
And then, of course, we hit John's of Bleecker.
Love
We've been
John's.
there.
You don't have to wait in line now.
Well,
you're in above. You just
well, it's
knocked
funny
it.
because Josh from Rockaway was just there, and
He waited
he
too.
got in.
He got
Did he?
right in.
He got right in.
So what's this whole fighting growth thing? I mean,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we only make
what's
so many
next?
pizzas a day.
So I saw the post
Yeah.
that you're looking for your next inspiration, your next big thing.
Yeah,
You got your goal.
Yeah.
Which I think was where you're at right now. So what's next?
Yeah, so the fighting growth thing was that this whole thing just really started as a hobby. And like, I really do, like, I make every single pizza that goes out my door. Every single one. There's never been a pizza that has left my door that my hands have not touched. And so part of growing is I got to let go of that. And that's
Yeah.
like,
The control.
that's like the main thing that was like, so like now the hobby, like none of what I do is work, right? But now the hobby is like, I have to it's like being told like, you're not going to play golf anymore, right? Like I love to play golf. Like that's the same feeling. Like, hey, you don't get to hit the driver no more. You just have to go hit wedges and putt.
Yeah, it's like, what the
You
fuck? Everybody wants to rip the big
But no
dog.
matter what, even if you're on a short par 4 and you should hit your iron off the tee, we all still pull out the driver.
Of course.
Right?
Anybody over a 10 handicap better just keep ripping it.
Right.
Fucking just keep ripping it.
Exactly. So the fighting growth is we've never been about the money.
Yeah.
You know, and I was always so nervous about being deemed a sellout.
We've had some people on and they want their hands on it and they don't want to sell out to like Amazon or something like that.
So we decided to grow, because I've gotten offers to really like sell out, like where like a big restaurant group comes in and takes you national and all that. Like we've gotten those offers,
They
and
would love it.
and I've turned them all down. And there was one that was a big one that we turned down, and it was. I mean, you're talking about the potential of millions of dollars, right? To say no to something like that, right, is
Tough.
You know, it hurts. But we've now found a way to do it organically and in-house and do it our way and have total control of. Now, are we still selling out by growing? I don't think so. I think we're just doing what we have to do, because now we can get our product into the hands of more people that want it, and that's ultimately the goal. But out of our location, it is impossible to do more because it started with limiting the pizza, right?
Yeah.
And that's, would piss people off too. But now it's limited in terms of what we can physically do, right? So we have it mapped out where we know exactly how many pizzas we can do per half hour physically. Mm-hmm. And then we schedule around that. And then, so now it's just that it's not that we don't have dough. We've got plenty of dough and plenty of pizza. We run out of time, and then even now, like we're only open 4 days a week now and we're doing 7 days worth of business in 4 days. So when Saturday hits at 8:00 at night, you're physically spent, right? Yeah. But we think we have a way to, because the only thing would be to move into a bigger location, hire more staff, things like that. But we're going to go in a slightly different direction.
Stay tuned.
That's fun.
I'm excited to see that.
So, yeah.
It's fun that the one thing that people always tell you, don't work in your business, work on your business. But I think in like artisan style businesses, the fuck are you going to do? Like you can't have someone else paint your paintings for you. And these pizzas are your paintings. And you don't get an 8-2 if Jimmy, the 22-year-old kid's like flipping pies back there. Yeah. And Portnoy walks in, you're getting a 6-5 and you're like, what the fuck?
Right.
I'd have made you an 8-2. But this guy's not going to make it. So.
Well, and I think the people like that travel on a Saturday, right, they want to show up and see me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They want to show up and, like, I was so disappointed when I went to Lucali and Mark Iacono wasn't there. And I was so jealous
so
when
funny.
Rockaway showed up and didn't even have to wait in the line, and he got to spend like a whole fucking hour with him.
I used to tell my wife all the time, like, hey, I'm leaving the shop now. And then a customer comes in and you start talking, how's the kids, how's this, then before they leave, another customer, and like it might be like an hour and a half or two before I get to leave. Yeah. And I told her the line from The Breakup, Vince Vaughn. Yeah. I'm the fucking talent. People wait for the next fucking bus to see me. Right. So like, leave me the fuck alone.
But and to your point with the low score too, it was funny because like there was one business that wasn't happy with me after the review because I maybe made a gesture of like.
I saw that.
And I did genuinely feel bad about that.
What was the gesture?
So they had mentioned, I said, give me the list. The first time Portnoy was in Pittsburgh did not show well.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that their list was good, right? And that Pittsburgh showed well. And so when he was going over the list, there was one shop that I gave a little,
right,
kind of maybe leave that one out.
The way you nailed it.
Right. But here's the thing. I didn't realize that there was multiple businesses in the same area with the same name. So the one that I was going meh on was actually, and I'm not afraid to say it. Can I talk to you or you or you?
You can stand up.
The one I was talking about was the one next to the Renaissance Hotel on 6th.
Oh, that's the one I thought it meant.
Yes. And apparently it was not that one.
Oh.
And so they were justifiably very angry with me. And I do genuinely feel bad. But then when I didn't feel bad was they're related to the other place that I said to go to, that I was like, oh, I really like their pizza. So then I didn't feel bad because I was like, what does your family want all of the attention? Right? And so, but
no, I thought that's who they meant.
But it wasn't that one. It was a different one.
Yeah.
And so I did genuinely feel bad for a half a minute until I found out that they were related to the other one that I said was good. Yeah. So I'm like, what are you mad about? I already said your family's good over there.
Yeah. All the other ones that he said are legit good pizzas, though. I mean,
Yes, and he had a good list, and I'm really sad that he did not make it to Badamo, because Badamo, have you guys had Badamo?
I've not had Badamos.
Oh, dude.
Where are they at?
He's got one in the North Shore, one in Dormont. And
wait, am I just saying it wrong? Is it Badamos? Is that like the other way you could say it, or is that the different? Is that a totally different?
I think that's like the Yinzer way to say it.
I mean, I've had their pizza.
I could be on a whim.
I've been saying this shit wrong for years.
I mean, I could be.
How are you saying it?
Badamo.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Yeah, and for shit, I could be wrong too if I'm wrong. So correct us in the comments.
Yeah, not Federal Street, but like right over by AGH. Yes. Yeah.
But he was really the first one to ever do like our style of pizza, even though he puts like a Pittsburgh spin on it. Like do it the right way. Like like he kind of paved the way for people like me.
Yeah,
So
I stumbled into
didn't
that
make it
on
there?
like Grubhub or whatever. One of those, like we ordered pizza for my son's birthday party,
yeah,
and they like fucking forgot about us. So it was the fastest pizza I could get was theirs, and
Yeah.
they came to my, and everybody was like, "What the fuck is this?" Because it just came in like white boxes,
yeah.
and we were like, "This is really good." So I'll sneak
Yeah.
in and grab a slice there,
Dude,
Like,
it is solid.
Yeah.
It's probably, I mean, I have like a top 5, and that's definitely in my top 5.
Yeah, they have,
So I've not had Rockaway yet.
What?
I know.
They're going to do a pop-up at my store.
I
Did you see
saw
that?
that. I'm excited for that.
I think we're doing December 14th, Sunday Steeler game before the game, 11 to 3. Heard it here first.
So he
Oh, boy.
relocated,
He's
right?
announcing
He's
shit.
in the middle of relocating, so he's closed currently.
Okay.
He's opening in Regent Square across the street from his other restaurant, which he needs to be in a city location. That pizza's, that was going to come out really wrong and very offensive to some.
That pizza could never make it in Manor.
The pizza is too good for where it was,
Okay.
and it needs.
He's going to do really well.
He's going to do really well. He wouldn't say those words that I just said ever, and I don't think he thinks that, but I think that, and that's where people hate me for saying shit like that. But it's the truth.
Right.
Nobody likes a truth teller.
I've had Pizza Lupo. Fucking awesome.
Phenomenal.
David. Fantastic.
Just had dinner there Sunday night.
Yeah. No,
Not at
it's,
David, but I was at Dinois, but same thing.
it's the same, right?
Yeah,
It's the same
same
owner,
people.
same
Yeah.
people, yeah. Both are fantastic. Where else did he go? He did Ironborn,
Ironborn,
which is good.
which I thought would have scored higher.
It's just not his style.
Yeah, he's not into the squares.
yeah.
But actually, I feel like if he would have went to the Ironborn in the Strip, being that he spent so much time in the Strip,
He went to the one in Millville?
went to the one in Millville, he would have made it to Badama. Because he was kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
And
I also think if he went to the one in the Strip, he'd have rated it better.
I think so too.
Because I've had both.
Even though I've
this
not had
fucker
the
a
Millville
map.
one. But that's the OG, is,
The one in the Strip, I think, does a better pie.
Yeah, that's weird. I've always thought like second time around restaurants, it's different. They
Yeah.
try to be the same, but like if you go to Permanis in the Strip and then you go to Permanis in Harmerville,
yeah.
totally different.
Yeah, it's different.
And I was a fan of Ironborn since before they even had the location. Like when they were just in the Smallman Galley, because my office was in the Strip for a long time. Like, all those buildings like from
I had it
16th
then,
Street
too.
to 12th.
Yep.
Like, oh man, that was
And they
so
might have been
amazing.
I don't know, but they might have been the first people that were willing to put that price tag on a pizza
Yeah.
because like it was like
Well,
a
there was
shock
that
factor.
other guy that tried to do it. He's kind of like a Pittsburgh famous chef, but he's like, I can't remember his name, but he tried to open up some pizza shop with like really expensive square pizzas, and it lasted like 2 weeks and it went out.
Yeah, because he probably bought an $80,000 oven.
Well, yeah, but he was also, he did something in Braddock. Like he's some chef that I don't know his name, but he's like fairly well known, but is apparently a great chef, but like, he's put like flowers like on the pizza.
Yeah, it's not going to work in Pittsburgh.
Fucking,
bro.
you know how you eat a pizza with flowers on it?
Yeah.
You throw it in the
fucking garbage. See, it's a t-shirt. They're going to be for sale on these guys' website next week.
I hear you like ranch on your pizzas.
Oh, yeah, ranch.
I used
That was, you want to talk about culture shock moving from New York to
Yeah.
Pittsburgh? That's the culture shock.
Fucking ranch.
I'm like, are you kidding? Like,
I grew out of
life,
that.
dude.
I used to like have to have ranch.
do you
with
know
my
how
pizza.
bad your pizza gotta be
Well,
to need ranch to make it taste
Cover
good?
it up.
Like, if you need ranch to make your pizza taste good, is the pizza good?
I guess not.
no, that's
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 my
where
wife,
like
my wife puts ranch on her pizza.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me for ranch the other day, and that's why I made that post just the other day, because that was 4 seconds after the guy asked for it.
it's so funny because I grew out of the ranch, like needing I used to need ranch, and then what happened with kids is they didn't like toppings.
Yeah.
So I noticed that I ordered just cheese pizza, and I'm like, you don't even need the toppings, really.
Yeah. I blame
like
the
a-
parents. I blame your parents.
Bad parenting.
It's,
Like pepperoni maybe, but I was a mushroom pepperoni and banana pepper guy for the longest
Yeah.
time.
I'll tell you what, I really enjoy just a cheese pizza.
Yeah, you guys are changing the
well,
game.
that's how, here's the thing. Whenever somebody comes into our shop for the first time, we tell them to just get a plain cheese pizza. They never listen. And because you need to understand like what the ingredients are supposed to taste like before you ruin it next time. Right. That's why we cap you at 2 toppings.
okay.
Oh, you do?
We will not allow you to put more than 2 toppings. again, because I hate money, right? But if I was into it just for the money, now I've toyed with the idea of allowing unlimited toppings, but there'd be like a QR code on the pizza box, and then something funny comes up that like, we're not responsible if your pizza sucks because you ruined it.
Yeah, right. That's what a bad pizza, like a everyday pizza shop. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's what you need to have that even be good. So like we have.
They sell the toppings more than the pizza.
Yeah, for years we go to hunting camp, and the pizza shop in town's not that good, and we would just order it with everything but pineapples and anchovies.
Yeah.
And it would be like actually pretty damn good because you just had all this shit on it.
I don't hate shitty pizza. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love a good shitty fucking pizza. Like, I crush Domino's like everybody else.
Yeah, my wife likes
I crush Foxes constantly. And, there's a market for that stuff, and I love it, And listen, there's really no hate on others, but ranch, there's... Dude, I don't know if you've seen... This one you got to search a little deeper for. We did a video called A Ranch Tale, which was a spin. You guys have seen the movie A Bronx Tale?
Yeah.
So the bar scene.
Now you can't leave.
Yes. Yeah. So we recreated that whole scene, and instead of like the bottles of beer going everywhere, they're doing it with ranch. So we actually got the kid from A Bronx Tale to do the intro to the video.
Yeah.
Really?
And now we're like buddies, like we talk on social media, like it's like really funny.
That's funny. That's like one of my favorite movies.
Oh, dude, you gotta watch it. Just look for A Ranch Tale.
Got a Pittsburgh tie too. I hate that Bill Mazeroski. He made the Mick crack.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. It's and then I feel like all the good mafia movies have a Pittsburgh connection because Goodfellas also has Pittsburgh Coke connection and. So there's always a little tie.
There's always a little Pittsburgh twist to the mafia.
But A Ranch Tale will you will laugh. We did like full theatrics. Like we like filmed it.
Where'd you do that?
We did it in the pizza shop
in Murraysville.
In Murraysville, yeah. We there's some guys that we were on their podcast. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Anybody Can Do This show. They're like these two kind of goofball Pittsburgh guys are hilarious. Yeah. And so they filmed it because they do film production stuff too. So they filmed it for us, edited it for us, and
nice.
And then they have some cameos in it as well. So it's, but if you want a good laugh, and that we really thought that would take off, and it didn't because we got copyrighted on the music because we used the Beatles song that they used, So it was so we didn't get much traction on that, but it was a lot of fun to do.
That algorithm is something, man.
Yeah, that was money well spent, though. I still don't mind spending the money that we spent on that video production. So it was a good one. What else?
So where do you go from here? Like, what do you like? You got stuff in the works.
I teased it. We got something very, very big in the works. That's going to launch probably in March, and it's going to launch in
March is your month.
Yeah.
Are you born in March?
No, but Jess and I started dating in March when we first met each other. But yeah, March has always been just a good month for us, and it's going to launch in New York and New Jersey. And
headed back home a little bit.
Getting some family involved with some stuff, and then we have a phase to grow it pretty big.
It's exciting.
So without losing quality.
That's the key.
So
better not be frozen fucking pizzas.
Fuck no. That's,
you're not going to do
because I'll put so much ranch on it, you won't know what to do.
Does Portnoy still sell frozen pizzas?
No, they took that off.
He took that off.
And that was just a license deal, actually. That was like, he didn't really like develop that. They just licensed the One Bite thing from him. It wasn't that good. No, it was actually, but what frozen pizza really is good. I would be open to a frozen pizza if it could really be done well. Like, why hasn't it been done well? But we'll see. That could be something that maybe we become the first to do it well. I mean, God, DeFar is doing fucking frozen pizza now. Like, the old man Domenico DeMarco must be just rolling in his grave because that's the greatest pizza of all time. And the day he died, they opened up like 17 locations. Not actually, it was like 7. And have frozen pizza now with the DeFara name on it, and blasphemy.
It's like such a unique, like, because there is so many big market pizza shops that you kind of like lose sight of the ability to like that this can be done, and you did it. I mean, and it's being done. You're not the only one.
Yeah, and I think with going back to fighting it, right? It's just that's how you know that it's going to be good, the growth, because the way we fought it, I want to keep our core values intact, and listen, we're going to still keep pushing the envelope with the social media stuff. It'll be scaled back a little bit. I've been advised that it should probably be cleaned up a little.
Don't bring that shit to New York.
Well, that's the thing. Listen, I can get away with it here. I bring it to New York. I'm ended up
swimming with the fishes,
literally. And we don't want that. We don't want to ruffle those feathers.
What made you, just to circle back, what made you decide on 4 days a week?
We just switched to 4 days a week.
Okay.
The reason we switched to 4 days a week just recently was we had to make so much more dough to handle the volume. And so my son makes like 90% of the dough. I mean, it's a team effort, like we all do it. But he's like the alpha and the omega. He's the beginning and the end, right? So he does the dough making, and then he's also on my oven. Right. So normally during lunch times, it's more slice business, and pie business is lighter, so I can handle doing the kitchen myself during those times while he's making dough during lunchtime. And it got so busy that I kept pulling him to the back, like, hey, halt the dough, I need you on the oven. Halt the dough, I need you on the oven. That we had to shut down an entire day. So our day today, which we would normally be open, is we made dough yesterday, and we made basically all the dough for the week is made.
Nice.
And then now my son could just be in the back with me, and then we could just bang them out. But again, we're still doing more business in those 4 days, right? Because normally you would have your lunch rush, which is a little bit more slice based. And then you would have like a little lull, somewhere in between lunch and dinner where you can kind of get reorganized, re-prep. And then your dinner times would all be full booked, stacked, right? Because people are calling it like 10 o'clock for 5 o'clock. And so what started happening was the slice business was going crazy, but then we were full booking every half hour from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. with no break. Like just bang, 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 bang. Like to the point where we even had to keep like a half an hour in the middle of the day with no pizzas in it, just to sit for a fucking second and like eat a slice of pizza.
Clean up, wash up.
So we just physically couldn't keep up, right? So it was, we were getting burnt out. We're trying to make dough. Then we're staying later, coming in earlier, trying to make the dough. And then I just said, fuck it.
Yeah, good for you.
Let's just close Tuesday. And then, because you need at least one day where you don't go into the shop at all.
100%.
Right? So that is Sunday for us. And then Monday we're in there prepping. Tuesday we're in there prepping. So it's still a 6-day work week. It's just we're not open those days. But people think we're just out fucking around. And I'm like,
that's exactly what I thought.
But it was funny because I did close in the middle of Portnoy and closed for 2 weeks and went.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about that before we wrapped up. So you got all this new business.
Yeah.
You're on the national spotlight.
Yep.
People driving from Chicago to come see you.
Yep.
You close. Leave the country.
I literally left the country.
So you went to Italy. Yeah. I watched some of your content. It looked like it was a trip to try to get some inspiration, try to get some kind of see where kind of where some of the ingredients are from, the story behind the what you're doing.
Yeah, we didn't do any touristy stuff on that whole trip, which
sounds great.
Which is the best way to do it. So it was.
So what made you decide to do that? And tell us a little bit about your trip.
Yeah, so Caputo Brothers Creamery is our cheese company. They also, I'm going to give a little plug here to Curata Travel. And I had to pronounce that Curata, even though it's spelled Curata.
Dude, I mispronounce everything ever.
Okay.
So
they have this spin-off company, and they do these curated trips to Italy.
Yeah.
And so we've been eyeing up a trip for next year, that we were going to go maybe in like October or something like that. And then Rin Caputo, who owns both companies, she came in right after Portnoy, but she had an event to do in Pittsburgh. It was like a foodie event. She was demoing making mozzarella. And she was like, you don't want to go on that one. You want to go on this one. It's in May. And she goes, because this is all the shit that you want to use and all the shit you want to see. Like, these are the people you want to meet. And I'm like, all right, cool. Sign me up for May. And then 3 days later, she goes, hey, listen, that trip, we have a similar trip to that one. It's in 3 weeks. And she goes, but 2 people bailed. They paid a non-refundable deposit. We'll take off what we're going to make on the trip and give you this whole trip for X amount of dollars, which was basically like 2/3 of what it should cost. And I looked at my wife and I was just like, fuck it, let's go. And 2 weeks later. But also, we were getting so burnt out from the initial Portnoy rush that I was like, you know what? We'll go to Italy. We'll find some new inspiration. Maybe when we come back, things will have settled down a little bit. They did not.
Yeah, because you have people that want your pizza, but they don't know your system. So they're calling thinking they're going to just swing by in 30 minutes and get a fucking pizza.
Yeah, we still get people come in at 5 o'clock on a Friday. They're like, what do you mean I'm going to wait, till 8 o'clock? 8:30, like on a Friday night at 5 o'clock, like we've got a 3-hour wait at that point. Like it's like, if you're going to get a pizza, it's going to be one of the last ones that we make for the day. And last Friday, we actually just kept going. We went to almost 9 o'clock. I was like, fuck it, just keep going. I was like, I'm feeling it, and I'm like, fuck it. I'm like, you guys can all go home. I said, but if anybody wants to stay, you can stay. You'll make more money. And so they stayed. But anyway, I digress. So we ended up going to Italy, and the way that they curate these trips was, we spent 3 nights in Milan. We did 4 nights in Tuscany and 3 nights or 4 nights, I lost track, in Bologna, which is the food capital of the country of Italy. But we're not doing any of the like there's tourist trap restaurants, things like that. Like, we're being brought into these restaurants and like, you don't order anything. Just you sit down and just food just starts coming, wine starts coming, and you're eating like the greatest stuff at the highest level of quality you have ever seen anywhere in your life ever. Wow. And everything you eat, you just feel great after. You never feel that brick sitting in your stomach when you eat that shitty processed food, right? And you just feel good. And then we're learning how to make pasta. We're on a farm, learning how things are grown the right way. We're on a farm watching olive oil being produced, going from the tree to the bottle, right? We're at wineries, like in these castles, like with grapes hanging, from these trees. We're at a real Parmigiano Reggiano producer watching these giant Oompa Loompas, like these giant beasts of men by hand doing this fucking moving these fucking creating these giant wheels of Parmigiano Reggiano, like, and learning every aspect of it. Going to balsamic producers. What am I missing? What else did we do? God, we just did so much. Going to butcher shops. Like, we saw the most famous butcher in Italy, and went to his restaurant where they use everything from the tail to the nose. Yeah. They use every part of the animal, and then they do this meal where you're just eating. Like, it was just unfucking believable. And everything that you're eating, is the highest level of quality you've ever seen, and it's super inexpensive. Yeah. Because it's like that meal that we had with the most famous butcher Italy has ever seen. It was like €40 per person. Right. It was like nothing. And literally he butchered the cow. We were standing out front at 8:30 in the morning because we were in a town of 1,000 people. Yeah. Right. And the hotel is like right across the street from the restaurant, and we see the cow. And then you're
like, I was feeding him apples 1 hour before I was eating them.
And the guy's got a tear in his eye because he cares for these animals so much, and that's why he uses everything from the nose to the tail because it's like special and we're privileged to be able to eat this animal.
It's their pet.
So he creates it a certain way, he cooks it a certain way where every single piece of the cow is respected.
Wow.
For 40 fucking euro a person, which is like $50.
Yeah.
You know, and everything is just so clean and so natural and then you're just in this wonderful country, like with this. And dude, it rained every single day that we were there and it didn't hamper the trip at all. At all. Like it was a joy to walk in the rain. It was, you know, and eat this food and be a part of this world. And then, you know, then you're on your flight back and you're reflecting and you're like, okay, how can I make my food better? Right? And we can, even though our food is, right now, I will say on record, our food is the healthiest pizza in Pittsburgh. I will say that bar none. Nice. I'm not saying it's the best,
Like
but it is absolutely the healthiest. And, but then the ideas start.
Yeah, get in front of it. It's going to be a huge point of contention in this country over the next 4 years.
They've been.
And it's going to be nice that the stuff that's illegal there, not just frowned upon, it's illegal there, right? That they're just pumping into our food here. And I was never that way. I was not this crunchy granola foodie type. Like, again, I still eat all the bad shit, you know, and I love it. Like I was in New York last week. The first thing I did at the airport, because I was by myself, so I went to McDonald's at the airport, you know. And listen, I still eat the garbage, but you buy a bag of M&Ms in Italy, the colors are different, right? Because the dyes are illegal. So it's going to be really nice to see what happens with the food world over the next 4 years. But what I love is that we're already there. Right? We're already buying all the clean products. Now, what might actually happen, because we are so expensive, because we have to be, because we're buying all the clean, good shit, that maybe that stuff starts to come down. Because believe me, I don't charge $25 for an 18-inch plain cheese pizza because I'm greedy. Right? Again, I'm not driving a fucking Mercedes. I don't live in a 4,000 square foot house, right? We got that out of the way early, right? We charge that because I choose to buy the most expensive shit because it's the healthiest.
They've been threatening, like outlawing perk and dry cleaning for hundreds, like it seems like since I got into the business 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And we have an organic solvent machine that costs more money, you know, than that goes into the cost of our product. But like, I'm like, come through with your end of it now. Outlaw perk, like get rid of it. You know, like, so that way everybody has to come up to speed. And everybody will be charging $12 for a pair of pants and like it levels the playing field.
But people will still want faster and cheaper, right? People value fast and cheap. And I get it. There's times that I do too.
Yeah, it's that
but
theory.
I never get mad if I can't get it.
It's that theory of three ways, right? You can have it good, fast, or cheap, but you can't have it all three.
Yep, exactly.
So.
Yeah, it was funny. I was watching a video of yours before this, and I didn't eat anything today. And I ordered Uber Eats and had McDonald's delivered.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm watching your video about all, the flour you use and the cheese that you use, and it's good for this, and it, good for gluten allergies and lactose. And I'm sitting there eating a fucking double cheeseburger from McDonald's, thinking,
but see, I go say that stuff, and then I go eat the double cheeseburger also. I practice what I preach in the restaurant, but I don't practice what I preach.
Yeah,
sometimes you can't put a price tag.
He's
on
like, food's not supposed to make you feel like shit, and I'm sitting there eating a cheeseburger from McDonald's. Like, this is gonna make me.
We do have a 100% success rate of like people that are non-celiac that have just gluten sensitivities that can eat our pizza with no problem. Nice. Like people that haven't eaten pizza for 10 years or bread for 10 years, they can eat our food no problem. And we use the highest gluten flour available in the United States of America. So why is that, right? They're not allergic to gluten.
Right.
They but gluten-free and gluten-sensitive is big fucking business.
Yeah.
Right?
And gluten-free pizza sucks.
It sucks. And I don't care what fucking cauliflower you fucking think you like, it fucking sucks.
100%.
There's my, the curses start rolling once I get and then the cheese that we use, we have a 100% success rate of people that have dairy issues can eat our cheese with no problem. We have a 100% success rate with acid reflux with the tomatoes that we use. So
that's great because there are kids, like I know my kids have friends that have never had pizza.
Yeah.
Because they just can't.
Yeah. And again, we still have 100% success rate unless somebody's just hiding their shits from us. But we tell them every time, call us after. I want to know how you feel. And even in the restaurant, even if we don't preach that, we don't ask, how was your food? How did you like it? I never ask that question. You know what I ask? How do you feel?
Yeah.
Right? Because after you eat, right? If you feel like shit, guess what? You ate shit.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, I got to get to McDonald's.
Actually, I wanted to go to Mercurio's because I'm on this side of the river, but they close at 8 o'clock tonight. So,
This has been awesome,
where the
man.
Fox
It's nice to
Chapel?
meet you.
yeah, that's, maybe I'll try Etna Slice House while I'm over this way. That's supposed to be really good. Have you guys had that yet?
You know, it's fairly new, right?
Fairly new, yeah, but I'm
a girl
hearing
who worked
really
for
good
me
things
went
about
to
it.
school with the gentleman that opened it. And he was
Okay.
similar. He made like pizza all the time and like gave it out in the neighborhood and
Yeah.
stuff. So there's a lot of guys that are doing that. It's fun. I mean, what the fuck? What is better than feeding people?
Yeah.
Like getting people drunk and feeding people are my two favorite things to do.
Fuck yeah, and eating.
And yeah.
So
Plug your social media for anybody that isn't already following.
Yeah, so if you go to facebook.com/TheRealNewYorkPizza or just search A Slice of New York, you'll find it. On Instagram, it's a little harder. You'll type in A Slice of New York Pizza, but it's got underscores between each word, so it's a little tougher to find, and it's a little tougher to grow that audience, so give that a like. But Facebook and Instagram we have TikToks, but that's for the fucking kids.
Except for the pineapple.
Except for the pineapple video, so I'm not very active there, and I'm probably on some of the other platforms, but I just don't mess with them. But Facebook and Instagram, cool, man. SliceOfNewYorkPizzeria.com.
Yeah, it was awesome.
All the funsies. Guys, thanks for having me.
This was great. I really appreciate you taking the time.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Hopefully somebody learned something.
Yeah, this was great.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going down to 3 days a week and going golfing.
Fuck yeah. Well, that was the goal before Portnoy was in 2026. We were moving to Charleston, which I'm still going to move to Charleston, like physically. And play golf 4 days a week, work 3 days a week.
I'll hit you up.
And that's it. But yeah, if you're a golfer, let's play. My daughter plays college golf, so
Oh, nice.
let's go hit them. I suck though, but I still like it.
All right, guys.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. Find and follow us on your preferred podcast streaming platform. Like and subscribe, and leave us a rating and review. You can join us socially on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Yes, we still call it Twitter. You can email the show at info@betweentwobridgespodcast.com. Until next time, make it till you rake it.